I have watched lives ruined not by what happened to people, but by how they reacted when it did. The world is full of men and women who are kind, capable, even intelligent until pressure appears. Then something breaks. They say things they do not mean. They slam doors, send angry messages, raise their voices, or shut down completely. Later, when the storm has passed, they look back and think, why did I do that? That is not who I want to be. Think for a moment about the situations that usually break you. Your boss criticizes you in front of others. You feel your face grow hot, your heart pound, and before you know it, you are defending yourself sharply, or you go silent and spend the rest of the day replaying the scene in your mind. Your partner says something unfair in anger. You answer with something even sharper, not because it is true, but because it hurts. A client complains loudly, perhaps even rudely, and you feel the urge to fire back. Or it may be something as simple as traffic, delays, disrespect, a sudden change of plans, or unexpected bad news. These small earthquakes shake the ground under your feet. What happens in those moments? Most people lose their calm long before they lose anything else. They let their emotions seize the wheel. They snap at their children, curse at a stranger, send an email they wish they could pull back. In a few seconds of reaction, they damage things that took years to build. Trust, respect, a reputation, a relationship. When you lose your temper or panic, several quiet but serious losses occur. You say things you regret, words that cannot be unsaid. You damage the sense of safety that others feel around you. People begin to think, I must be careful what I say to him, or I never know when she might explode. You look less capable and less mature, especially in work situations. A person who cannot stay calm under pressure rarely receives greater responsibility. And perhaps worst of all, you feel ashamed afterwards. You lie awake thinking, I should have handled that better. I know better than this. I have met many people who were clever enough to solve big problems, but not calm enough to handle small provocations. They could manage projects, but not their own reactions. They were prisoners, not of circumstances, but of their temper. And as long as your temper owns you, your life will be ruled by the worst moments, not the best in you. We must correct a dangerous misunderstanding. Many people secretly believe that calm is weakness. They think, if I stay calm, they will walk all over me. If I don't show my anger, they won't take me seriously. So they shout, slam, and make dramatic gestures to show that they won't tolerate this. But the truth is much simpler. Calm is not weakness. Calm is control. When you remain calm, you are not saying, this doesn't matter. You are saying, this matters so much that I refuse to handle it foolishly. Notice who you naturally respect in times of trouble. It is rarely the person who shouts the loudest. It is the person who stays steady when others fall apart. In a crisis, eyes turn toward the man or woman who can think clearly, speak calmly, and act wisely. That person becomes the anchor of the situation. People say, ask her what she thinks, or let's see what he suggests. Calm people are not pushed aside. They are pulled in. The moments that usually break you can become the moments that define you. They can be the scenes others remember when they say, he kept his head when everything was going wrong, or she stayed composed when everyone else lost control. But that will not happen by accident. It requires a simple, practical way to handle the very first seconds of pressure, when you usually snap. In this talk, I want to give you such a way. I will show you a small inner ritual for your mind, a few adjustments for your body, and simple phrases for your voice that you can use in the very moment when you feel yourself about to break. You will not be able to stop criticism, rudeness, or bad news from coming into your life, but you can learn to choose your response instead of being dragged by your reflex. If you are willing to practice this, even in small daily frustrations, you will find that situations which once shattered your peace will no longer have the same power. You will still feel, you will still care, but you will not be ruled by the first flash of anger or fear. And slowly, you will become that rare person others look to and respect. Not because your life is easy, but because you remain calm when it is not. I came to believe that people do not lose control because of what happens to them, but because of what they tell themselves about what happens. Two men can face the same event, an insult, a delay, a piece of bad news, and one stays calm while the other explodes. The difference is not in the event, it is in the story they attach to it. There is a simple law of human nature at work. We do not react to events alone. We react to the meaning we give them. Someone speaks sharply to you, and one story says, "He insulted me, I must attack." A plan falls apart, and another story says, "This is a disaster, I am doomed." Stress is not just the weight of what happens. It is the weight of the event plus the story you throw on top of it. Imagine for a moment that your boss snaps at you in a meeting. The words are harsh, the tone unfriendly. What happens inside you depends on what you tell yourself next. The automatic story might be, "He doesn't respect me. He always talks to me this way. I shouldn't have to tolerate this." Your jaw tightens, your chest burns, and you feel compelled to answer sharply or shut down completely. The event was a sentence. The explosion came from the story. Now imagine a different inner response to the same remark. "He is under a lot of pressure. This is not about my worth, it is about his stress. I will listen, take what is useful, and speak calmly." The words you heard are the same, but the story has changed. Your heart may still beat faster, but you have created room to remain composed. You do not excuse bad behavior, but you refuse to let it dictate yours. Or picture yourself at an airport. You are told your flight is canceled. One story says, "This always happens to me. My whole day is ruined." Nothing ever goes right. Your mind races ahead to every inconvenience, every missed appointment, every discomfort. You feel trapped and furious. Another story says, "This is inconvenient, but it is not the end of the world. Thousands of flights are canceled every year. I will find out my options and make the best of the time. The event has not changed. The delay is still real. But your blood pressure, your words, and your behavior will be very different depending on the story you choose." Inside each of us, there is an old, primitive alarm system. When it senses danger, it triggers what we often call the fight or flight response. The heart beats faster, the muscles tense, the breath becomes shallow. This system is useful when a real threat appears. The problem is that our thoughts can pull that alarm just as easily as a true emergency. When you tell yourself things like, "This is unbearable, I am trapped," or "They are disrespecting me," your body believes you. It reacts as if you were in real physical danger, even when you are only facing a late train or a rude email. The moment you think, "This always happens to me," you turn one event into a lifetime of suffering. The moment you say, "I can't stand this," you convince yourself that you are weaker than the situation. These thoughts are like gasoline poured on a small flame of discomfort. The flame of the event might have gone out on its own, but the story creates a fire. The good news is this: between what happens and what you do, there is a small space. Your power lives in that space. You may not be able to control the event, what your boss says, what a stranger does, what news arrives, but in that brief space, you can decide what story you will tell yourself. And that story will shape whether you break or remain steady. I have seen calm men and women who faced very hard circumstances and yet did not explode. When I listened to their inner language, it was different from that of those who were always upset. They said things to themselves like, "This is difficult, but I can handle it." Or, "This is unpleasant, but not permanent." Or, "I won't make this worse by losing my head." They respected their own ability to choose a response. You cannot stop your heart from beating faster when something shocks you. You cannot keep your face from flushing now and then, but you can choose whether you throw oil or water on the first spark inside your mind. Calm is not something you invent in the middle of a crisis. It is something you prepare by practicing different stories about the events of your life. In the next part, I will give you a very simple inner ritual you can use in that small space between event and reaction, a set of steps for your mind and body that will help you respond with calm instead of exploding. You will still feel the first wave of emotion, but you will learn how to ride it instead of letting it drown you. Now we come to the part that matters most: what you do in the first 5 seconds. Not 5 minutes later when you are calm again. Not tomorrow when you are thinking about what you should have done. The first 5 seconds when your nerves catch fire, those are the seconds that usually break you. We are going to turn them into your advantage. The first step is simply to catch the moment. Before you lose your temper on the outside, something always happens on the inside. Your heart starts to race. Your jaw tightens. Your face feels hot. You feel an urge to interrupt, to shout, to defend, to slam a door, or to send that sharp reply. Most people treat these signals as commands. I feel this, therefore I must act. I want you to think of them differently. When you feel this, that is not a command to attack. It is a signal to pause. You might even say to yourself, here it is, this is one of those moments. Simply recognizing it already gives you a little distance. You are no longer completely inside the reaction. You are watching it appear. That awareness is the beginning of control. The second step is one conscious breath. Nothing elaborate, nothing mysterious. Just this. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Hold it for a brief moment, and breathe out a little more slowly than you breathed in. You can do this while your boss talks, while your partner vents, even while you are standing in line at the bank. No one needs to know. This is not spiritual decoration. It is practical. That one breath buys you 2 or 3 seconds in which you are not obeying your first impulse. In those 2 seconds, you can choose your next thought. Without that breath, the thought chooses you, and it is usually the worst one. Now, in that small space comes the mental phrase. I suggest you choose 1 or 2 short sentences that you will repeat to yourself whenever you feel the wave rising. For example, stay calm first, act second. Or, I will not let this moment own me. Or, in 5 minutes, I want to be proud of how I behaved. Pick the one that feels most natural to you. Why is this so important? Because in a crisis, your mind wants to rush toward attack or escape. Say something. Hit back. Get out. Your phrase gently takes it by the arm and steers it toward dignity. Stay calm first. Act second, tells your mind. Action will come, but not until we calm down. I will not let this moment own me. Reminds you that you are not a puppet. In 5 minutes, I want to be proud of how I behave. Lift your eyes from this second of anger to your longer-term self-respect. While you are thinking this, move to step 4. Adjust your body. The body and mind are partnered. If one is tense, the other will follow. So, give your body a few simple instructions. Let your shoulders drop slightly instead of creeping up toward your ears. Unclench your jaw. Uncross your arms if they are folded like a shield. Face the person or the situation instead of turning away, half in retreat. When you speak, let your voice be just a little slower and a little lower than your first impulse. Picture an employee receiving unfair criticism in front of others. His name is Tom. His manager says, "You always mess up these reports. I can't trust you with details." The old Tom would feel his chest tighten. His first thought, "That's not true. You're being unfair." He would interrupt, raise his voice, and argue point by point. The room would grow cold. Later, even if some of his points were right, his outburst would be all anyone remembered. Now imagine Tom practicing this inner ritual. He feels the familiar heat in his face. That is step 1. He catches the moment and silently says, "Here it is." Step 2. He takes 1 conscious breath, slow in, brief hold, slow out. Step 3. He thinks, "Stay calm first, act second. In 5 minutes, I want to be proud of how I behaved." He lets his shoulders settle, uncrosses his arms, faces his manager, and says in a steady voice, "I understand this concerns you. Let me review the report after this meeting and see exactly where I went wrong so we can fix it." Has he become a doormat? No. He has remained calm under attack. There will be time later to discuss whether the criticism was fair or not. But in that moment, he has shown composure. His colleagues will not say, "Tom exploded again." They will say, "Tom handled that well." Let us look at a simpler scene, far away from the office. A woman sits in traffic on her way home after a long day. The cars are not moving. Someone cuts in front of her. The old pattern is ready. Hands gripping the wheel, horn blasting, angry words filling the car. By the time she arrives home, She is exhausted and short-tempered with her family, who did nothing wrong. This time, she decides to practice the inner ritual. She feels the familiar pressure in her chest that is her signal. She breathes in slowly, holds, and breathes out. She thinks, I will not let this moment own me. In 5 minutes, I want to be proud of how I behaved. Her shoulders drop back into the seat. Her jaw loosens. She keeps her hands steady on the wheel. The other driver still behaves rudely. The traffic is still slow, but she has not joined the chaos. She is calm in a place where she used to be broken. This is the power of the inner ritual: breath, thought, posture. It does not change the outside world. It changes who you are when the outside world presses on you. And when you change that, you will notice something remarkable. Many situations that once turned into full storms will now pass as brief showers. Fewer arguments, fewer sharp words, fewer regrets. You do not need to be perfect. You will still forget sometimes and react too quickly. But each time you catch the moment, take the breath, choose the phrase, and adjust your body, you are training yourself to remain calm where you once collapsed. Over time, people will stop saying, he always loses it, and start saying, he keeps his head when things go wrong. That is the kind of reputation worth building. Up to now, we have worked on what happens inside you, the breath, the thought, the posture. Now we turn to what others can actually hear, your words. Many people undo all their inner effort with one careless sentence. They hold themselves together for a moment, and then a sharp phrase escapes and reignites the fire. There is a simple principle I want you to remember. When emotions are high, use few words and gentle words. In a heated moment, long speeches, accusations, and sarcasm are like adding wood to the fire. A short, calm sentence is often enough to begin cooling things down. Let us begin with criticism at work. Suppose your boss raises his voice and says, "This report is a mess. I don't know if I can trust you with this." Your old reflex might be to say, "That's not fair," or "You didn't give me enough time." The moment you defend, he feels challenged and pushes harder. Instead, you might say, in a steady voice, "I understand this upsets you. Let me see exactly what went wrong and how we can fix it." Or, "I may have made a mistake. Let's look at it calmly." These sentences do not surrender your dignity. They simply acknowledge the emotion in the room and redirect it toward the facts. Your boss hears, "This person is not fighting me. They are working with me." His anger has less to push against. He may still be sharp, but it is very hard to keep shouting at someone who is composed and cooperative. Now let us go home, where emotions often run even higher. In conflicts with those you love, there is more at stake than a report. Suppose your partner says, "You never listen to me. You only care about yourself." The instinctive reply might be, "That's not true," or "You're the one who never listens." And so the arrows fly back and forth. Try another approach. "I see you're angry. I don't want to say something I'll regret. Let's talk about this in a calmer moment." Or, when you are ready to listen, "Help me understand what hurt you most." The first phrase puts a boundary around the conversation. You are not walking away forever. You are refusing to continue in a way you will later regret. The second phrase opens a door. It tells the other person, "Your pain matters. I am willing to listen instead of just defending myself." Very often, once someone feels heard, their anger softens. What about disrespect or rude behavior? Perhaps a customer raises his voice, or a stranger speaks to you harshly. You do not have to accept abuse, but you also do not have to mirror it. You might say, "I want to listen to you, but I respond best when we both speak calmly." Or, "Let's slow down. I really want to understand." These phrases do two things. They set a standard calm speech without attacking the person, and they signal goodwill. I am not your enemy. I am trying to understand you. Some people will stay rude no matter what you say, but many will feel a quiet sense of shame. Your calmness makes their aggression look unnecessary, even childish, without you having to say so. There are also times when you do not yet know what to say, but you know that saying the first thing that comes to mind would be a mistake. In such moments, you can use a buffer phrase, a short sentence that buys you time without escalating the situation. For example, give me a moment to think, or let's take a breath and then talk. These are simple, but they are powerful. They prevent you from answering in the heat of the first impulse. They also invite the other person to step back for a second, instead of charging forward. Now, let me give you a few brief scenes. Your boss is upset and says loudly, "This is unacceptable. How could you let this happen?" Before, you might have replied with equal force, "It's not my fault. You changed the deadline." Now you feel the familiar surge inside. You take your breath, think, stay calm first, act second, and say, "I understand this upsets you." Let me review what happened so we can correct it. Before your reply, he felt attacked and ready to push harder. After your reply, he feels less alone with the problem. The energy shifts from blame to solution. At home, your partner says, "You don't care about this family. You're never here." Those words sting. Your pride wants to answer, "That's ridiculous. I do everything around here." But you catch yourself. You breathe, adjust your shoulders, and answer, "I see you're angry. I don't want to say something I'll regret. Help me understand what hurt you most." Before, your partner felt unheard and had to shout to be noticed. Now, they feel invited to explain instead of to attack. The conversation may still be difficult, but it moves toward understanding rather than explosion. With a friend, discussion turns into debate. Voices rise. Your friend says, "You just don't get it. You're so naive." It would be easy to snap back, and you're arrogant. Instead, you say quietly, "Give me a moment to think. I want to answer you fairly." Before, your friend felt locked in a duel. After, they sense that you are taking them seriously enough to slow down. Calm, spoken this way, often shames aggression without a single insult. It shows a level of self-mastery that the other person may wish they had. Remember, you cannot control whether others raise their voice, use harsh words, or behave unfairly. But you can control whether you add fuel or water to the fire. Few, gentle, steady phrases backed by the inner ritual of breath, thought, and posture have a way of cooling even very hot situations. And even when they do not calm the other person, they protect something precious, your own dignity. In every stressful interaction, ask yourself, when this moment is over, how do I want to remember what I said? Let that question guide you toward words you will not be ashamed to recall. Calm, respectful language will not only help you stay steady. Over time, it will also teach those around you how to speak to you and to others. Let us bring this all together. Calm is not weakness. Calm is strength. The world may teach you that the loudest voice wins, that the sharpest tongue is the safest shield. But in real life, the people who are trusted, promoted, and loved are not those who shout the most. They are those who stay composed when others fall apart. You have seen that you do not react only to the event itself, but to the story you tell yourself about it. This is unbearable. This always happens to me. They are disrespecting me. Those thoughts break you inside before anything breaks outside. When you change the story, you change your response. You now have a simple inner ritual for the first seconds of pressure. Notice the signal. Take one conscious breath. Repeat your chosen phrase, adjust your body. And you have an outer ritual, short, calm, respectful phrases that lower the temperature instead of raising it. You may have seen yourself as someone who always explodes, who always breaks under pressure. Perhaps people around you have said, "That's just the way he is," or "She can't handle stress." That does not have to be your future. You can become someone others trust in a crisis because you remain calm when they do not. You can be the steady one in the room. I would like you to adopt a new label for yourself, a quiet sentence you carry in your mind. I am someone who stays calm in situations that used to break me. You may not feel it is true yet, but each time you practice the rituals we discussed, you are making it more and more real. To help you live this identity, here are a few affirmations you can repeat, especially on difficult days. I choose my response, even when I cannot choose the situation. Staying calm makes me stronger, not smaller. In difficult moments, I breathe, I think, and then I act. These are not magic words. They are reminders that you are no longer a servant of your first impulse. You are learning to be guided by your best self, not your worst second. Now let us turn this into daily practice. Give yourself one small, calm challenge each day. It might be in traffic when someone cuts you off. It might be at home when a child spills something. It might be at work when a colleague is careless or sharp. In that moment, practice the inner ritual once. Notice, breathe, phrase, body. Then choose one calm sentence instead of the old reaction. At night, before you sleep, ask yourself 2 questions. Where did I stay calm today? Where can I do better tomorrow? You will not be perfect, and you do not need to be. What matters is the direction. Each day that you stay calm in one situation that used to break you is a victory worth noticing. Before you go, I would like to know more about you. Where are you watching from? How old are you? And in what situations do you most want to stay calm at work, in relationships, with your family, or in the small stresses of daily life? Share it in the comments. Your story may be the one that encourages someone else who feels just like you. And if you want to keep learning how to handle people, emotions, and difficult situations in a way that earns respect and builds better relationships the way I have taught my students for many years, I invite you to subscribe. Your life will not become easy overnight, but step by step, you can become the kind of person who stays calm in situations that used to break you. And that will change far more than your temper. It will change your future.